And I think I would like to say it again. If you are feeling extremely lonely, please do not get married. Because marriage magnified loneliness. That is when your wife
she just dropped the box.
wants to just sleep. She doesn't want to talk. Because she doesn't want to talk.
On the corner, I've admired her husband for quite some time. And it's just such an honor to have her right here in the studio with me. I feel so blessed to have her. What she does, she helps designers realize their dreams of seamless production to final production with no stress, so that they can focus on their core, which is designing. So when Mrs. Omolade isn't doing that, inspiring speaker and host of Rich People, which is churning out change agents for a better Nigeria. She's married to her BFF, Omolade Oshinubi, and they have 3 beautiful, beautiful children. Such an honor to have you on the show, Mrs. Omolade.
Thank you very much. I'm super delighted to be here.
Oh, I feel so blessed. She's so lovely and she's so gorgeous at the same time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I look forward to today's talk because you're as real as realness should be. You've spoken to young people, you speak in church, speak to women. You're so articulate, like you have it all put together. Is that really the because I know you're married, so is that really what it is? Because you look so well put together, like everything is going on well. You've been married for quite some time, and your profile says you've known your husband for, is it 12 to 13 years?
We've actually been married for the past 16 years, so this is our 16th years couple.
And you don't do kids.
I don't know if you can say that.
What's your secret? What's your secret? You don't tell me Jesus.
He is actually, and some other things that you need to really learn and work on.
Fantastic. That's why I'm happy to have you here, because you fit the profile perfectly. 16 years of marriage, that's not a joke. So, who met who? How did you meet your husband?
Whoa. Okay. Anytime I have the opportunity to answer this question, I still think about it again and again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still not something that I just reel out without thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've actually known my husband's since we were very young.
Oh, okay.
But funny enough, I didn't really know him, but I know his brother, and his sisters, and his mom, of course. So we grew up together, but we didn't come across each other for one reason or the other. So finally we met. And how did it happen? I think it was just an introduction. So we had someone who was encouraging us in the Lord that just said, "Oh, have you met this person?" So I think that was just the beginning.
You matchmaker.
Yeah, you may say so, but not actually like that. Sometimes you have helpers sent your way, so someone can just introduce someone to you. You have to. The person you're going to get married to, someone knows that person, and it will take someone to link you up, either intentionally or unintentionally.
True.
So that was how we met. Then we got talking.
So did you like him the first time you saw him, when you guys started talking about this other matter?
Okay, the first time both of us were not thinking about marriage at all. At all, it was nothing to think about. So it happened over time. So we got talking. One thing led to the other, and then we got talking non-stop. And the rest is history.
Wow. Okay, interesting. I like the way we've kicked off, right? So now, marriage. Is it everything you anticipated? Before is marriage everything people anticipate? Let me put it that way. Is it everything people anticipate? Expectations and reality? Talk to us about that.
Absolutely not. When I was growing up, you have this fantasy in your head. When I get married, my husband, this. You just think about all those things you see in the movies. And but by the time I got married, I realized that it's totally different from the aspiration or what I had in my head. And this brings me to the fact that the man that you have in your head does not exist.
Mm.
And the woman that you as a man have in your head does not exist.
Mm.
So it will take you to nurture the one you have until he or she becomes, who you actually want them to be. So it's marriage to me is a commitment.
Talk to us
Is
about marriage. What exactly is it to you?
Yeah. So to me, marriage is a covenant, and it took me a while to understand this. Sincerely, I got married to my husband. We love ourselves. We have our fights, ups and downs. But I actually got to understand what marriage, means. Actually, I'll say recently, not too long ago, that it's actually a covenant. It's actually very, very spiritual. It goes beyond what we think about. That, oh, maybe somebody will care for me, somebody will love me, somebody will tell me I love you,
I'll
drop
always
me
be happy.
flowers, we dance and all those things. Those things are addendum. They are just by the way. So marriage is a covenant, is actually a spiritual thing that means so much to God. So because he actually initiated it, and recently what I just discovered is that marriage is actually about God. So coming to that understanding, I was in awe. I couldn't believe it, that really. So it's about you. So that it's actually trying to bring men and women to understand the divine nature, to experience it. So when I really got this understanding, I was super excited. I said, really? That there's a place, in the world, 1 + 1 is 2.
Yeah.
But in marriage, that 1 + 1 is still 1. That when two come together, they actually become one. So it is something that is contrary to human nature. It is not our nature. It is not our way of life. So for me, marriage is understanding beyond human way of life, entering into the divine and experiencing the nature of God.
When you speak about divine, does it mean that you cannot do marriage on your own, like in the flesh? I want you to put a bit of insight into that.
Absolutely not. You cannot. You cannot. This reminds me of before I met my husband. I was, there was this guy that I was dating, and he was just everything. He's still my friend, but I just had this inclination that no, this is not it. And one thing that I was able to understand is that this person does not have the capacity to love you. So I couldn't believe it. I was wondering, oh my God, he buys me flowers, he takes me out, he loves me, he does this, but that he does not have the capacity. So marriage cannot be done in the human flesh. And of course, we are spiritual, sincerely, no matter who you are. You are not ordinary, you are spiritual. So marriage is actually connecting to that spiritual part of you and experiencing God himself.
Powerful already. So talk to us a little bit now. So I'm a single person, for example. I'm listening to the show. I'm thinking to myself, are there conversations I need to have with myself before I get married?
Yes, a lot. The first thing that you need to speak to yourself is that why am I here? Why? Because no one is here by mistake. No matter how it looks biologically, no one, either somebody was raped, either your father was not there, your mother was not there. Nobody, you are not here by mistake. You were divinely set up and sent here. So one of the first questions that you need to ask yourself is, why am I here? What's my purpose? My reason for being alive must definitely be beyond eating, going to school, doing this and that. There must be something really, really. So when I know that, then I want to know, am I whole? If, and I would like to just drop this. If you feel lonely, do not get married. Do not. Because no man on earth, no human can meet your ego or soul need, no matter how good natured or good intentioned they have. So you need to know, what is my purpose? Then secondly, am I whole? Do I love myself?
Mm.
Do I appreciate myself? Can I live with myself?
Mm.
Or am I trying to run away from myself and run into someone so that the person can take up my responsibility?
Ooh, that's it right
You
there.
know, then am I ready for this? Because it's a long haul. Because, for example, if I know that this, I can always turn back, then I can do anything I like.
Mm.
But if I know that this is for a long haul, this is what I want to do, and it's for life, then I make my decision, intentionally and intelligently. So, why am I here? What is my purpose? Am I whole? Am I grown? Am I, what is my, mantra? Am I having a self, governance? Do I understand myself? Am I, having a growth mentality? What am I bringing to the table for someone? Because marriage is not about taking. I kid you not. I think to an extent, maybe when I got married, I thought it was just about taking. That okay, my husband should do this.
To be
for
giving
me.
you all the time.
Yeah, my husband should do this. Oh, he should call me. He should do this. He should hug me when I come home. He should do this. He should do that. Well, that same person too has expectations.
True.
So both of us are coming in and expecting something from one another. So one of the things I would like to ask, I would love to ask myself before getting married, or I would like you to ask yourself, is that what are you bringing to the table? Yeah. So purpose, wholeness. Am I whole? Am I fine? Do I have what to offer? Then also, am I ready to actually sacrifice? Because it's about sacrifice. It means that I have enough. So if I want to get married, what I'm saying is that I am whole, I am fine, I have something to offer to another person.
When you say fine, you don't necessarily mean beauty, do you?
Oh no! These days, anybody can be fine. So it's not
that's true.
That is too.
That's on the side.
Yeah, on the side doesn't mean anything.
Absolutely.
It's actually mentally, psychologically,
Sound.
health-wise. Am I sound? Am I able to withstand? To actually offer something. If not, you will not be a spouse. You will actually be a patient. To this other person, which can be very, very traumatic.
Give us a bit of insight into that. You're not going to be a spouse, you're going to be a patient. Talk to us about that. Exactly what you mean.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that if I go into a marriage having unrealistic expectations about the other person, and I have not invested anything reasonable in myself, I have not taken care of my mind, I have not taken care of my past, I have not taken care of my present, I do not, understand my purpose, and I'm just expecting this person to be the savior, then it's going to be devastating. And at the end of the day, that's where you see someone that if the husband or the wife is going out, oh, are you leaving again? Where are you? Oh, come home. I can't do without you. This and this. Or, you get some people talk on the phone. For 30 minutes, they have nothing to say. The only thing they are saying is, oh, I love you. Oh, my God, I love you. I cannot sleep. Some people even be crying. I cannot.
Yeah.
No, it's beyond that.
It's beyond that.
Can I hold intelligent conversation? Can I bring something to the table?
Fantastic. You're listening to Heart 93.3, the Parent Connect Helpline show. It's already getting heated. 17 minutes and we're already top notch and we are flying. I've got Mrs. Omolade Oshinubi right here in the studio with me.
And the person does not have the capacity to. No one can do that. No man, no matter how good. No woman, no matter even how good intentioned. So some people actually want to. Like for myself, I would really want to do all for my husband, be there, but I cannot. I'm only human. So both of us are humans on a journey of growth, on a journey of discovering who we are, and we are actually coming together with the strength, with the light that we have, and we are actually supposed to bring this together. So if one is coming and has nothing to offer, and when I say something to offer, I'm not talking about money.
Good.
Of course, money is part of it. And I'd like to just quickly drop this there. So if you are a woman, when we were growing up, they say, marry a rich man.
Yes, sir.
Then the woman will go, just carry her bag, nothing else, into the husband's house. So when she needs salt, she will call. When she needs Maggi, she will call. No, Ghana does this.
Yes, please.
Ghana does this. So as a woman and as a man, I have to be able to bring something to the table, both financially, spiritually, intelligently, psychologically, emotionally, and actually help us in fulfilling, you know, and being the best version of ourselves. So I think that is it. Because we're all on a journey of becoming the best version of ourselves. You know, there's something that, when I think about it, I think about my daughter paints a lot.
Okay.
And before I left home just now, she's painting. She has this beautiful canvases that she's working on. And it reminds me about how God made us. You know, when we think about that, we just have no reason or no choice than to love people and say, oh my God, look at how she was made so beautifully. So there's a journey for every one of us, and we discover it as we grow. So there is no one who has discovered everything. The day we die, or we actually pass on, that's the day, okay, we know that we're done. So if not, in that process you are still growing, you're still discovering. And also, one thing that I think about is that there are so many people on earth who are praying for one thing or the other. And I know that for you listening to me, I believe so strongly that you are an answer to somebody's prayers. So it may not necessarily be money, it may be an invention, it may be an innovation, it may be a policy, it may be, it may be a training manual, it may be just a process that you're going to set up. And if you do not invest in yourself and in your mind, rest at the right time, pray, have a relationship with God, love yourself, know that others are good, but you do not have to depend on people. Like I mentioned earlier, and I think I would like to say it again, if you are feeling extremely lonely, please do not get married, because marriage magnified loneliness. That is when your wife
She's dropped the bomb.
want to just sleep. She doesn't want to talk. Because she doesn't want to talk at that time does not mean she doesn't love you. Okay, so by the way, if you think that when you get married, 24 hours, your husband or your wife will be laughing, will be singing, not lie. There are times they just want
I
to
hope
be.
you hear it.
There are times they just want to be.
Yeah.
So at that time that they want to be, you have to be doing something for yourself, for the family, and for the community and the nation at large.
You will not be sitting down and waiting.
And waiting and say, until it comes. Oh, why is your face like that? When I greeted you, you didn't smile. Oh, you didn't kiss me. You didn't tell me I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
Are you beautiful? I remembered when I was in school, there was this lady that her nickname was Dark Angel or Black Angel. I want you to think that, what kind of a name is that? But later on, and I understand that, actually she was very dark, very, and what she's saying, that she understood that she was an angel. So then if you tell her that, you are beautiful, she will smile and say, I know. Although I know some people get angry these days. Oh, really? It's the truth.
Yeah.
That I know. So there was a time too that if my husband did not tell me that I'm beautiful, I feel so sad.
You're not alone.
Throughout that day.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
Throughout that day.
Yeah.
Until I begin to say, okay, he says it, but there are times that he doesn't say it. Are you beautiful? Are you intelligent? Are you smart? Are you here for a purpose? Are you growing? Are you becoming the best version of yourself? Then you do not need anyone to tell you.
Yes. So that's where the self-love comes in, right?
Yes.
Where you know who you are.
Yes.
Because I think that's where the issue is. Where people don't really love themselves enough and they're expecting validation
someone to do. If you don't love yourself, trust me, you won't be able.
Thank you very much. That's quite insightful. So, Mrs. Omolade, let's talk now about at what stage of a man or woman's life do they begin to start preparing for marriage? Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
And I think it's from the word go. We actually all prepare for marriage from day one. We just didn't know. Because when we were growing up, when you were a year old, you have people who were married around you. You had your parents to look at. If you don't have married parents, you have neighbors. So from that point, you were already preparing because you could watch, you could see. And at that time, your mind began to form expectations. You begin to, think about marriage. So in a way, you will be prepared and molded for marriage. It was just that it was not intentional. So maybe intentionally, when should you start preparing for marriage? I think when you should start preparing for marriage is when, or let me put it this way, when should you get married? Okay, so you should get married when you think you can do without it. Or in another way, you should get married when you don't need to. Yes, I think that's what. When you do not need to, then you are ready for marriage.
Talk to us more about that. That's so loaded. That's so loaded.
Yes, yes. So when you don't need to, then that is the time you're ready. So what that means is that when you have grown to understand yourself clearly, most times we try to understand every other person but ourselves.
True.
So when you begin to understand, you may not have the 100% picture, but you have come to terms with who God has made. And you love her. And you know that she's here for a purpose. That you just didn't drop. Somebody actually desired and you were sent for an answer for to provide a solution. Then you begin to, what am I supposed to do? So you begin to get ready your academics. You are, you have your own plan, your financial plans, you have your goals, you have all your life. At least you have thought about it, or you are thinking about it without putting any pause because of Mr. Right or Mrs. Right that is coming. You are just flying, and you can stand on your own. Then you are ready to get married, because if the son of somebody else comes to you, the person will be nurtured. Or if the daughter of somebody else comes to you. But if you are not ready, when somebody else's child comes to you, the person is going to be battered. And I know you don't want to do that.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to the Parent Connect Helpline. What's your name? Okay, let's hear your question. Okay. Mrs. Omolade, that's a good question. Thank you. Okay, so let's answer before we go on a short break. What do you do when you love somebody and they don't love you back?
That's a very, very important question. And it's a very common question. If someone does not love you back, number one, what's your own definition of love? So people have different definition of love. So I'm just going to take it and say, okay, let's say the person does not show you affection as you're showing the person affection. So you just move on. It's very difficult, but you cannot proceed in that situation if you work on that. Even people who seemingly love you back will still, do some things and step on your toes and, disappoint, either intentionally or unintentionally. Not to talk of someone
Who doesn't have
who
those
does not
feelings?
care. So what's happening is that
doesn't
he
care at
or
all.
she does not care. So move on.
Okay, so we'll go on a short break. We'll be right back. When we come back, we'll take more questions related to, so how do you understand the sexes in order to have that good marriage that you seek? Join us shortly. If people are not necessarily marrying who they hate, they're marrying who they love, and yet it's not working, what are we mixing?
Well, for me, I will say, what is actually causing the frictions in marriage, and I will continue to cause it until we do something about it, is high expectations, unrealistic expectations,
Okay.
uncommunicated expectations from the other person. So when we are dating, we push all those expectations aside. We have it at the back of our minds. So during the dating time, everyone is bringing out their best foot forward.
True.
At that time, we only rely on our emotions, how I feel about this person, butterfly in my tummy. Then, even if you notice something, you sweep it under the carpet and say, no, it doesn't matter, we'll talk about it later, or we'll do this later. Whereas the expectation that I have is still there. So, one of the questions I will encourage anyone to ask whoever you're going to get married to is ask, if the person is a man, ask them, who is your female role model?
Okay.
If it's a lady, who is your male role model? Most times, they are in their heads, they are expecting you to be that person. So if someone has an expectation, so they expect you to be that person, and it's not possible to be that person. So automatically, there's a problem. There's a big problem. So for me, I'm going to say that, expectations should be set aside in marriage, not or before marriage, not expecting this person to talk this way, to behave this way. There are some little things that actually, some would say, oh, my wife is weaving her hair, I want her to use a wig. I want her to have a long one. As simple as that, because the person, the expectation of beauty in their minds is different from this other person. So that is why it's very, very important that the main communication should actually be done before marriage.
Yes.
So anything you haven't spoken about before marriage, forget about it. You will be shocked. It will shock you. Let me use that word. So we have to talk about everything from how do we resolve conflicts. When we get married and there's a conflict, how do we resolve it? You don't just assume. If you just assume, it's going to really be very bad. So before you get married, what will happen? So for example, myself and my husband had conflict resolution is that we must not go to bed without resolving that issue. So after getting angry and stamping our feet over
and fire on your head,
then we have to sleep on the same bed. That's what we have to do. We sleep on the same bed no matter what. Then at the end of the day, we must talk about it. So that helped us. Then also we have to say, okay, what's our financial plan? What's our financial goals? That's one of the expectations. Like for example, maybe a woman is thinking, this man is working in so place. He should take care of me. He should take care of my parents. But the man is thinking, no, where I come from, the lady does that. For example, I know people that they grew up with their mothers or their moms. The father was not there. So the mom did practically everything.
She was a woman.
So if you are now coming in, you are now depending and waiting for this person. It will not work. He will not give you the money and you will be heartbroken. So you have to bring something. So you have to say, okay, financially, how are we going to do? What's our financial goal? What's the plans? What are our plans? And our children, are we going to have any? Then also, what happens if we do not have children? Gone are those days I think, no, I do not do anything bad, I'm going to have children. No, people who are waiting or trusting God or just do not have biological children of their own, did not do something bad. They just realized it did not happen. So that's one of the conversations that we must have. And say, bros, come. What if I do not get pregnant? What if
that's a very good question.
We do not have a child? So you talk, okay, so the person may say, no, God forbid. We say, we will talk about it. The people that do not have, it's not that they did anything wrong. What are we going to do?
Mr. Omolade, it's a really very valid point. So now, someone is going to actually just say now, so that's why I want to first of all cohabit. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, come and live with me. Let me be sure that you are what I want. So I don't even think that we need to even do this marriage thing and sign any paper, because I feel like marriage is just a paper. Somebody is listening to me now, that's their mindset. I feel marriage is a paper. So come and live with me. Let us live together. Let me know if you can even take in the first place to avoid that shock. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, what I have to say about that is that marriage is actually an institution ordained by God. It was not our own nature. We didn't even think about it. It taught about it. So marriage is not about the paper. So when you sign the paper, that's just a physical thing that we're doing to actually, activate what God has ordained. So cohabiting is no marriage at all, because marriage that is recognized by God and by the community is when you are actually married and you have the blessings of your parents, you have the blessing of your of your pastors, of your leaders, you have the blessing of the state. So that is a marriage when you publicly declare and make a covenant with yourself. It's just like, when we were young, we used to watch all these movies, and I'm sure some of us still do. When someone wants to enter a covenant, they don't just say, okay, no, wait, I don't want to enter this covenant with you. Come and live with me first. No. If it's a covenant, because it was so serious, you have to take it on seriously. Without the covenant, you cannot go into the business, or you cannot go into the relationship. So let me use an example now. Let's say you want to work in an organization and you want to become a partner, or you want to be able to have a share of the company. There's a covenant to be made.
Yeah.
So you don't say no. I want to know if your company is going to be profitable. So let me come in. Let me be here for 1 year. Then I'll see it. Then I'll now know.
That's you right
you
there.
you go into it. But that is why we're saying that there are things to be done. So most times we do not know, we do not want to do what should be done. We just want things to happen.
I want to take the easy way out.
Nothing happens, like nothing on earth. If anything happens without you investing, without you taking your time, without you being consistent, that thing is fake. Nothing is free without investment, without consistency.
Hi, good evening.
To be married. So if I'm going to say, okay, instead of me marrying you, I would rather let you be pregnant. I will, I have a friend in the US that did a joke recently. She's a comedian and she has 5 boys. And she was saying, when they were asking her husband to pay the bride price, just a joke, that she was begging that they should leave him, that he just finished school. That if she had known that she was going to produce 5 boys,
she would have taxed him very well.
I am a womb man, so how will I come and just give you baby before you can accept me? It's just like when you go on the streets now, we have so many people on the street that somebody just take them, impregnate them, and most times we judge these people and say, why would she? But you want to take somebody else's child, impregnate or no, before you can marry. No. If you enter into it, you enter into it. So shine your eye, ask the right questions, and when you go into it, it is not going back.
Word. I like the heat you brought. So now, like you've said, okay, sorry, that was a mistake. So like you said, you need to sign the contract. That contract and that commitment is vital to the marriage, right? Is vital. So Mrs. Doctor, I almost going to call you Dr. because you're already blowing up my mind. So Mrs. Omolade Oshinubi is right here in the studio. I'm going to call her. Hello, good evening. Good evening. Okay, hi Judy, welcome. Okay. Okay. So here's your question.
Wow.
That's a very popular question, which many people find tricky to answer. I'm sure your expertise. Please go ahead.
Wow. It's actually something that could be very painful to both parties. So the one who is jealous is pained, And the other person feels nothing is going on. Why don't you believe me? It's pained as well. So, so many things, are causing this. So, first, it may be the way the lady grows up, or this other party grows up. Maybe so many times she has experienced heartbreaks, she has experienced disappointments. People do not keep their words. So automatically she brought that into the marriage. So because of that, anything she will be doubting and she'll be thinking about it. That's why, like, for example, personally, I don't listen to every news and I don't read every story. So when something is coming to my feed and I look at it once or twice, I ask myself, what are they trying to tell me with this story that is coming in consistently? So then I get it that what they're trying to tell me is that men are terrible. For example, when you go on your IG page, these stories will just be coming in. Before you know, when you watch one, another one will come. That one man, he burnt his wife alive. One man, he did this. One man. Before you know it, your mind is formed. So even if the person meets an angel, he or she will still be doubtful. So I feel that this person had gone through a lot of things and she needs to come to a place of healing. Then for you, my brother, because you are married now, I will want you to be patient. And one of the ways that you can assure a woman of your love, just like she mentioned, we are kind of complex, very specially complex, and that's we're just special like that. So you don't need to try to say no, it's not like that. So why do you think that is happening? Okay, this is not the case, and give her opportunities to. For example, I can pick up my husband's phone anytime. Actually, our phones are actually linked. So if you are using my phone and you know that there is no cockroach in your cupboard, our phones are linked. So if anybody is calling him, I know it comes in. It was not that anything happened. It just happened and we have it. So I can check his phone, he can check my phone. His emails go to my email without. So this actually happened, I think, at the beginning of our marriage. Something happened, and so he actually told me that, oh, I think there's somebody that my heart is drawn towards. We were married. So, because you are so beautiful, because it does not mean that your husband's wife or your wife's mind, or you can't like somebody else. You can actually be attracted. So, it's actually attraction, it's not love. So, you can be attracted to somebody else. Maybe because you've been with that person for a while, the person cracks jokes, makes you feel good. You can be attracted. So, when he told me that, I just said, oh, really? And we just prayed together. That was it. So up to today, he says, why it actually touched him was that since after that day, when he came back from work, I didn't say, "Did you see that lady? What she do?" Up to today, I did not ask. I just believed that he had told me. So one of the things that are very crucial in marriage is openness, trust, vulnerability. Of course, there are a lot of people that have been shattered and battered by this, but I tell you, they are good people on earth. They are amazing people made by a good God. That all they just need is an opportunity. So, what you need to let your wife know that this is breaking your heart, that she does not trust you, because trust is a very important key and ingredient in marriage. So let her know that a lack of trust breaks you and you do not appreciate. You want her to give you benefit of the doubt. So if she does that, that is fine. Then also you can just be praying for her sincerely. Prayer works. And say, Lord, please touch my heart too. While you work at it. Then also if it's becoming extremely complex, then you may need to see a therapist.
Okay. Good response. Good response. This is you're listening to the voice of Sharon, and I have in the studio with me Mrs. Omolade Oshinubi, and she's been talking to us for nearly 50 minutes, and it's been quite an expository time. We're talking about what I wish I'd known before getting married, and she's answering very pertinent questions, and I do appreciate the openness and the sincerity of the way she's putting this across. Mrs. Omolade, I have two more questions before we wrap this up. So let's talk now, right? For the one who has had, like you talked about this man, just lifting from where he stopped, the one who has had a bit of a trauma or a bit of an incident, and now they are thinking to themselves, marriage may not be for me. Marriage may not be for me. We've grown to be that independent and all that stuff, like the feminist ones and then the masculine ones who don't believe in marriage. Marriage may not be for me. Is marriage for everyone? Besides the ones who want to be unions.
Okay, thank you for
For separating
saying that. Yes.
Okay.
So I was about saying no, marriage is not for everyone because there are people who decided to give their all to God and they do not want to get married. So, like Paul in the Bible did not get married, Jesus did not get married. So, marriage, God ordained marriage for us to experience heaven, that thing that everybody's looking for, yearning for, that love, that acceptance, that place of peace and serenity. That is actually what we are all looking for. And that is why God made marriage. So, in looking at it from that angle, it is for everyone because there's no one on earth who does not want to experience that. And that is a state where a man and a woman come together and they become one in mind, in soul, and spirit, and they are able to experience their, highest level, of capacity that God has put into them. So as human, we are full of capacity. When you think about robots, when you think about trucks, sometimes I look at trucks, look at planes, look at amazing cranes, look at mighty ocean. And we, men, the Bible says God made us to have control over all these ones. So that's to imagine the capacity inside of us. So when we come into this union, which is highly spiritual, and I know that everybody has an understanding of spirituality, so it's actually spiritual. Marriage, the confession about marriage, going into the agreement, the oath, and of course the sexual parts, which most people are not married are thinking about that. No, I have to experience that one too. The sexual part, it's all what everything is trying to do is to help us to understand God. That is the essence of marriage. It's a way for us to understand who has made us, to come into the light, to discover. That is the main purpose of marriage. And when we are able to come into this union with another, if you're a woman and you're able to come into this union with a man, or if you're a man, you're able to come into this union with a woman, you come into that place of oneness that God is in heaven. And the same way, God as is the same. The Bible says, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, they are one. The same way, God wants to be one with us. And that he wants to teach us by understanding the power of unity. Like when we look at Nigeria, one of the bane of our nation these days is that we cannot just unite. Even the world, everybody has, different agendas and we are pursuing it differently and we do not mind what happens to the other person. So the unity is a place that God wants to bring us. And marriage helps us to experience this, and when we actually follow, the right way, which is, understanding the purpose, being open, being naked to ourselves, being compassionate to the other person, communicating clearly. And like a question that I can remember now is that should I tell my, you know, partner to be, my husband or wife to be about my past? Please tell him. Let him know now. I have 2 children. No. Let him know. Don't let it be too long so that it will not look too late. If he actually loves you and is ready to walk the journey with you, he wouldn't mind. I've seen people who have 4 children. Their husband, maybe the husband is dead or something, and they are together, and the other person is taking care of these children like their own. So they are actually. So one thing that I feel, somebody may be thinking, okay, everybody's bad. Everybody's not bad. All men are not bad. They are kind people, God kind of men who are still willing to nurture, and there are women who are God kind of women who are still willing to nurture and come together until they become the full and the best version of themselves.
Fantastic. So, so loaded. I feel like I'm going to have you come back again. Now, let's talk about red flags. Quickly, in 1 minute. Red flags to know that this person may not be the one.
Wow. Number one red flag is no purpose.
You mean no direction?
No purpose. The person has no idea. Nothing, no plan, no purpose. It is a red flag that there's going to be problems. Number two is inferiority complex.
Okay.
Inferiority complex. So if this person, keeps on, feeling inferior or superiority complex, or let me just put it generally, complex, then if this person has no regard for family, that you notice that when it comes to you, when she came to you, she said everybody in her family, nobody's good. Everybody, she's the only one that is good. Wrong. Is a red flag.
Word.
So if this person respects no one, that is, there's no one that you can call and say, if not for Mr. C or Mr. Johnson, I wouldn't do this. If the person has no regard for any man, is a red flag. Wrong. Because the person will have no regard for you. Then if this person disrespects everyone, let's say you are dating, disrespect the gardener, disrespect the driver, disrespect people on the street, disrespect everyone, then when he or she comes to you, say, oh my God, you're the butterfly in my journey. Run. Because the moment you get to the house, you enter into the league of those people.
That's right.
That they are no longer new to him. Then he looks for another, conquest. So the person, if someone cannot be kind, just watch. Don't say he's kind to me, he's just fighting other people. No. If the person keeps on fighting every other person except you, is a red flag that they are just patching you until you come to the house or the ring gets into them. Wrong. So I've talked about it. So if there's no purpose, no direction, then no commitment to growth, to personal growth. This person just sleep, wake up, no plan. Like for example, I will be driving, I'll see somebody in the morning, they're just seated, watching film in the morning. So if this person has no consistent plan for growth, wrong. Of course, maybe at first you can try. Maybe it was just an accident that happened. Maybe when the person was growing up, the person didn't have opportunity to be taught or to be guided in that line.
Yeah.
So if you give things and the person is not just interested, there's something they are not just interested. The only thing is, I want to sleep and wake up. Then, it's a big.
Or they are daydreaming alone.
Yes, it's a red flag.
Fantastic. Your final thoughts. We almost went for time, so give us a wrap up. This has been so expository, so enlightening. Give us your final thoughts.
My final thought
So I'll say
is
that
that marriage is beautiful. I've been married for 16 years. We've had our challenges, ups and downs. But all in all, it's a beautiful thing to see a man, you grow up with your husband, getting to know one another as the years go by. So actually, the love that you are experiencing on the marriage day, that one is not love. That one is just attraction. The love comes as you grow. Then you discover that you and this person becomes one. Your thoughts, your vision, your aspiration become one. You see the vulnerability of this person. It's so amazing when you see the vulnerability of another person and you are able to show your own and you are able to still forge ahead as one despite challenges. So if you will forget anything today, remember, marriage is beautiful and we can experience it.
Marriage is beautiful. I'm super excited. Thank you so much, Mrs. Omolade Oshinubi. Thank you. I appreciate you for being on the show. God bless you. Thank you so much, Lagos, for